Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 6. Can you believe you're just about 3/4 of the way done with the class? And I'm hoping for a majority of you, you're on official spring break with your teaching positions. I know a couple of you are district level. You might still be in the work mode. Some of you it might be the final countdown, but again, we are getting near. So let's take a dive into what week 6 looks like. We're looking at a variety of budgetary connections. So different aspects of the budget that need to start working together and functioning together. Some of the things that you'll be reading about this week are connections to certain tasks that are at a district level, but as an administrator, you need to understand what's happening there. Some of this is going to be talking about facilities, where you might never pursue anything specific to facilities, but you do have to have that understanding again as a site administrator, how budgets are planned out for facility and maintenance of your school site or building. So, as an encouragement to you, just to read that Christian message. The message is a focus again on Psalms 50 and looking how we are to be stewards of what we're given. So you will see the instructor video here once I'm done recording it. Your reading for the week, you're going to be reading chapters 11 and 12 in the school finance. So chapter 11 is on the ASB, or the student body organizations. I use ASB as an example, but school site council if you're elementary. Sometimes it's not called an associated student body. You get into some of the athletics components as well as just other student fees that you might need to collect on campus. And this chapter gives you a great overview of what those different aspects are and what the law states about handling funds from students. This is also going to connect with assignment number 4, which is due this week. I'll talk more about it a little bit more, but I just want to make that connection. Chapter 11 here is one of those key components that'll help you in that write-up, as well as the other ASB manual that we'll be going over. Chapter 12 starts getting into transportation. You're going to be talking about the history of school transportation, again, looking at how transportation was provided, who was paying for it, and then starting to look at those issues that have affected the financing of school transportation, and then some of the aspects of keeping the buses themselves or vans that might be used safe, and then having to look at the preventative maintenance. If you are a district where you do not contract out your busing, that needs to become a part of your district costs. So again, trying to give you that preview. Reminder, this whole class is about previewing the multiple aspects of budgeting. So you might think, hey, I'm not going to have to worry about transportation or budgeting out for maintenance costs, but please know when somebody's talking about a contract for transportation, you need to know sometimes those costs are embedded into what you're paying in a contract as well. So those are the 2 chapters for reading. And then there's one other assigned reading, and that is the Financing School Facilities in California. So the document is 80 pages total. Some of it is appendices, some of it is an introduction. But this gives you a great overview of what school finance is about for the facilities. You know, what kind of plans do you need to make for working with maybe improving facilities, a new building, maintenance and operations for a facility. So this is the breakdown of the chapters. Again, that introduction and then the system for school finance. It's really interesting to see the change of how the state would grant awards for facilities. Used to be the state would provide a pretty significant percentage of the award, and then ask for the districts to contribute a component or small portion of it. That is subtly shifted where it's almost a 50-50 grant now in that facilities. And then you have general obligation bonds, which districts try and pass to, again, improve facilities. That is not maybe state facility financing, but a proof of 3-year bonds, or it can be trying to combine both of those. So this will give you that overview and process. Again, this is that upper district level, but trying to just get you to get a view of how that functions or operates. So that way, if it's brought up to you, you can be like, hey, I've seen resources before on top of the training that you might receive as a site or part of a management team member. So that is the components for reading this week. There again is a learning module going back to students' fees, transportations, and facilities, what you've been reading on. You'll also be hearing about in the learning module as well. So the discussion board for this week 6, it goes a little different on everything that we're reading, and it's actually asking you to look at how much is spent per pupil by states, and then looking at academic achievement of the states, comparing them. So again, looking at a ranking. I'm just going to show you this website here. It's the U.S. Public Education Spending Statistics. This is a website that I will try and include as well in the reminder email for the week. But this is a great website that will give you some updates on how much states are spending per pupil, giving you some percentages. You'll notice here that you can look at a couple of states because the discussion board asks you to look at 3 different states and then comparing their academic achievement to what they're spending on students as well. So always welcome to include California as one of those states, but definitely look around to the other states as well. So again, this is for the discussion board. As a reminder, as always, your initial post needs to be by Thursday night at 11:59 p.m. Again, it should be master's level writing that you're writing, at least one cited source to support your statement for your initial post, and then a response to 2 of your peers by Sunday night at, again, 11:59 p.m. So that's the discussion board for the week. So we've gone through reading, we've gone through the learning module, the discussion board. Last 2 things I'm going to talk about are assignments. So congratulations on the group assignments, getting those turned in and done, and the conversation of encouragement and what you've learned and found from others as you viewed their presentations. Now we're getting into what's due this coming Sunday at 11:59 is assignment number 4, and it's the ASB Accounting Manual paper. This is, again, a 2 to 3 page of content paper. So again, still expect a title page, 2 to 3 pages of content, and then a reference page. Just a reminder on reference pages, you do not need an extra space between each entry on a reference page. That double spacing is enough spacing. So just that reminder, and reference should be really center for the title of the page and bolded as well. So what are you going to discuss for this paper? Again, connected all to the ASB Accounting Manual. So you'll click on this link here and it will take you to the ASB Accounting Manual. I brought it up last week, but just that reminder, if we look at this, I'm moving pages just to get to the table of contents. It's a large document. I don't know that I need all 422 pages read. That's not what I'm asking you to do here. But what's realistic is looking over chapters 1, chapters 2, and chapters 3 to give you a really good foundation of what you need to know as an administrator. And then looking at maybe 1 or 2 other chapters that you feel like are important, that you think will be important, whether you're a high school background, middle school or elementary school background, or even a district background for some of you who are at the district level. What do you need to know about the Associated Student Body funding, how it's regulated, those components? Again, this update was from 2015. I do find it interesting because I'll tell you, when I became an administrator, started out as an assistant principal in a middle school, I wasn't responsible for the site budget from the district, but I was responsible for the accounting of the ASB funds that student leadership was receiving and spending, and having to go through audits for it. So there is a whole process that's expected for this, because again, you are spending money collected from students and ensuring that money is spent back on the student body, not for gifting, but for activities that all students can be a part of. And sometimes there's fees associated with what is being done, sometimes there is not, but it has to go through an entire approval process. There needs to be a ledger as well as an audit that takes place afterwards. So you'll read more about this, but that, like I said, was my first real, when I became the school site level, a responsibility for a budget was the ASB, and there's a lot of different steps that go into it, and each district handles it differently. We had to turn in our ledger at the end of the year for that part of that auditing process into our business services to ensure that our funds were being spent correctly. So you'll read more about that, and then you're going to give me that paper. Again, if we go back to it, the rubric is right here at the bottom. summary of the major points from the ASB manual. So making that connection, chapters 1, chapters 2, chapters 3, and then maybe 2 other chapters that you're reading. Areas of emphasis for funding, and then getting into your writing style. Just the reminder, grammar checks, make sure that your verb agreement is there, make sure where things should be capitalized or capitalized. Just those reminders. That is sometimes why I can't give a full 5 to a score in writing, but have to go down to that 4. And then, as always, APA formatting, if you're following what is required by Concordia with the writing template, title page, your content, and your reference page, 1-inch margins all the way around, double spacing, you're going to get pretty strong scores in that area as well. But please make sure that you are following the APA guidelines there. And then the last component in the reminder is planning ahead. So our final assignment, which is due in week 8, is going to be the mock budget plan. And that's hopefully something that you've met with your administrator or an administrator that you're working with to start forecasting what the plan would look like for the next year. This is a written paper, so I need to be very clear on that. You are going to write up what you're focusing on for the school, for the department, how you see the funds that you're receiving, where they're coming from, how you plan to spend those funds. You are able to insert a page that's sort of like an Excel spreadsheet or a table that can give some of that breakdown as well. But there is a write-up component that's needed for that. It's roughly expected to be about a 5-page content. Again, that Excel sheet, Google sheet, table that you create can definitely be a part of that content as well. This again is due in week 8. If you've not had that interview to start doing that conversation, that would be something to think about getting this week, as week 7 will be your week of working on it, or the beginning of the week 7, trying to get that interview. I hope that it's a great week. As a reminder, as always, please don't hesitate to give me a call, a text, or an email if you have any questions. Keep up the great job on the discussion boards, really focusing your content in that conversation. Like I said, the focus this week might feel like it might be above what a site level administrator will do in finance, but you do need to have that understanding as you move into that site level operations and knowing how the district operates as well. Have a great week. God bless.